Dynamic duo on the leaderboards for really the last over a year of our company's history. A lot of people want to know how they do it, how they can recruit so many people, and how they really became superstars in this industry in really a very, very short period of time. We feel very fortunate to have them on our team, and having had the chance to travel with them now and spend some personal time with them. You know, the great thing about this industry is you realize that everybody is pretty much just like you. You know, they have a story, and they didn't start off at the top. And I'm going to have them share with you their story today and how they do it and how they got to the top. So please help me welcome Team P, Bill and Michelle Pesco-Salido.
All right, am I mic'd up? We good? Sound good? Everyone? Awesome. So, thank you, Chris. And real quick, I know, hey, who's on my team, stand up. You heard that from before, but anyone on our team, please stand up right now, real quick. Because I want to share something. So, Gary, Eugene, Nikki, Dave, Mark, Wade, Michael, Greg, and Greg in the back. GP, Tony, Heath, Yemima. Where's Yemima?
She's hiding.
She's hiding. All right. First of all, thank you guys for coming. Sit down. Thank you. Awesome. Some of you, Mark Hall traveled from Maine. Heath from upstate New York. I mean, it's awesome that you guys are here. Just so you know, the last national expansion team, which was 3 months ago here in Dallas, we had 3 people on our team that were here. And today, the second national expansion team, we now have, what was that, 12 people, right? Just to show you and illustrate how important coming to these events can be, and being in a leadership group like this national expansion team, we went from 3 people to 12 people attending this event. And I know that this event this weekend is going to allow the 12 of you that just stood up to then at the next national expansion team have 3 of your own people there. Right? And that's how this is going to spread, and that's how we're going to grow this thing. So thank you, Dave, for clapping. That's awesome.
That's awesome. 400% is pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. So we're going to talk about our story today, and we're going to share a few different things with you. And I just wanted to introduce my beautiful wife, Michelle Pesco-Salido, who, if it was not for her and what she's going to share with you now, I would not be in this industry. So without further ado, Michelle.
Thank you. Thank you. What Chris had said earlier, I think is very important about that we didn't just jump on the scene with all this experience and talent, and you know, we did come from the beginning, you know, not knowing anything about network marketing. So I would say I started in the industry about 3 years ago. So about 3 years under my belt, and when I joined, you know, in March of, I think I might even try to figure out the year, but it was 3 years ago. I was just looking for a way to make some extra money. And I was looking for a way to maybe just replace the income that I was making as a therapist for children with autism, because I had actually gone back to school thinking, you know, I've got to go to college, I've got to get my degree. That's the only way I'm going to be able to land a good job, because at that time I was a single mom. Before that, I mean, by the time I went back to school, I'd already met Bill, and we were boyfriend and girlfriend or engaged or something. But I had to figure out a way to support my children and still be able to stay at home, you know, with those kids, but that didn't happen for me. And I had to, you know, make a painful decision to decide, you know what, I've got to go back to work, and it wasn't what I wanted to do. It crushed me. I felt like, you know, I was letting my kids down, and so I went back to school, got a degree, landed a job, making $10 an hour. You know, here I paid $50,000 to go to college. It may even be more than that, but I paid all that to go back, finish my degree, got that double degree, and started, you know, working with these children. It was very rewarding, but when I got home, I didn't have any energy for my own kids. I didn't have any energy to be a great fiance at that time. I was exhausted, and I was worn out, and I knew there had to be a better way, and that's when I stumbled upon network marketing. A friend of mine had met me for lunch, and she was losing a good amount of weight at the time, and I thought, wow, that's really neat. I mean, I don't really need to lose weight, but you know, I'm very proud of you, and that's awesome. And I did have a problem with focusing. I would say that. And she said, oh, I've got a perfect pill for you. I don't know if you guys can relate to this. And I was like, wow, does it work like Adderall? Because if it does, I'm in. And so she gave me a sample of this stuff, and I took it and was just like, wow, I can totally like sell this stuff. My wheels started spinning. I have one of those entrepreneurial minds, and started spinning. I think I could sell this to everybody on the campus. You know, everybody's going to be able to buy this stuff, and I'm going to be rich and make $1 million. I mean, that's how naive I was back then. So I joined it. I think I paid $75, and I didn't really tell Bill about it because I was going to quit my job. This is what I was going to do. I really thought at that time, well, I'm just going to quit. You know, Bill's going to have to support us, and I'm going to run with this. And you know what I did is I, went out there and I did all that I knew how to do at that time. I just talked to people. You know, I reached out to all my friends I went to school with in high school or elementary school, and I, connected with them. And I said, hey, I see that you're working out, or hey, I see that, you're talking about losing weight, or you're part of Weight Watchers or Jimmy Craig. I've got a product that you might really be interested in. You see, it's the same thing that we're doing now, but we're replacing it obviously with the silver asset. We're giving people a way to invest in themselves and then have an opportunity behind it. So I did those things in the beginning, and it worked really hard. And I kind of kept it from Bill for a while. And I think the first month I made just enough to cover my auto ship. And the second month I made maybe enough to cover my auto ship and a little bit extra money, maybe $100. So I was struggling, and my biggest fear was not getting his approval from it. So I was working really hard. So my advice definitely to most of you here that maybe don't have a spouse or a significant other that's supportive is it's important to set out your goals and make it very clear about what you're going to reach each and every month. And so for me, my goal at that time was I've got to rank advance each and every month with that particular type of pay plan. I don't even remember what I started at, but and it was all based on volume for that particular company. It's just volume. If I got X amount of volume, 6,000, I rank advanced to silver manager or whatever. And, I think after about 90 days, I got through like the 4th rank, and I had maybe, $1,000 to show for it. And at that time, I was excited about that because that practically replaced my $10 an hour job. And after that, I think is where our doors really started opening up for me whenever I discovered that there was a whole just plethora of people on the internet. It wasn't about me just chasing down friends and family on Facebook, and not that you shouldn't do that. You should definitely do that in the beginning. Everybody should know what you're doing, and the reason why is because we now have friends to this day that come back to us that told us no in the beginning, and they're like, what are you doing? You're like at an exotic beach location every month, and you're speaking on stage at all these different events in Vegas, and does Bill not work anymore? I mean, what's going on here? I mean, you guys like selling drugs or something? And I tell them yes, because they told me no a long time ago. Don't do that. So know that, you definitely want to touch those people because, I don't know if you guys know Todd Falcone. I remember him saying one time that you need to let your friends know what you're doing and that where your plan is headed or where you're going, because you need to give them the opportunity through your friends to go on beach vacations with you or play on the golf course with you every day. You need to let them know, because if they see you doing that, they might feel a little hurt and be like, wow, why didn't you tell me about this business opportunity that you're doing? And so it's important that you at least let them know. It's not like you have to, push it down their throat, but at least let them know where you're headed and where you're going. So when you do, go on all these vacations, at least they know they have the invite. So after that, I started discovering the online world and how we could tap into a lot of people, and that's when my journey began. A lot of with Facebook, and I just started really marketing on Facebook. Trying to find the way to build relationships with people. When I say find people, it wasn't I just found a random person out of a billion people. Is it a billion? I always get the numbers wrong. Right. Remember that time? One time I said somebody made $1 billion in the industry in the last 6 months, Eric Ory or something. Do you remember that? I sent that out in an email. That didn't go over very well. So I get my numbers wrong. So I didn't just pick one person out of the billion people and just say, hey, I got an opportunity, check this out. What I did is I built relationships. I took a genuine interest in helping people. You know, whether that be with their financial success, or whether that be with just giving them an opportunity to get out of their sucky job, or to get out of that rat race of sitting in the 9-to-5 traffic. You know, I reached out to them and just talked to them and asked them, like Jay said, you know, what do you do? Or they will ask me, well, what is it you do? You know, and I tell them, you know, hey, well, you know, we're building a lifestyle. You know, we collect silver assets. We give away free silver. You know, and it just leads into more conversations. And just through the course of building these relationships with people, I didn't expect, you know, the first 10 people I spoke to, you know, every single day. That was my goal, by the way, when I set that goal out, is to talk to 10 people every single day, touch 10 people. Now, I don't mean just send an email and not get a response. No, I mean actually touch and talk to them. I'm getting a response. And I would talk to those 10 people, and I didn't expect to send a presentation to those first 10 people that I spoke to each and every day, because what I was thinking in my mind was, is I'm planting all these little seeds. And that's why we are where we are today, is because of all these millions of seeds that we've planted out there have now grown and blossomed, and now people are coming to us because we've talked enough about this over the past year and a half. People start to take notice, they see the momentum we're on, they see the excitement we have, they see the passion that we have, they see all the trips we're taking. You see, it's a collective story here. It's a big story that's put together that you're presenting out to people, and they're going to take notice of that. And they're going to want to know what it is you're doing. So where I'm going to go with this, so Bill can come in and talk about his story, but where I want to go with this is, you know, I did this for about, a year and a half. And after a year and a half, he was able to retire from his corporate American job.
Yeah, all right, good.
It was very powerful for me to keep a very clear why and a clear vision on what I wanted. I wanted to get him, I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, which I achieved that very early on. I just jumped in feet first, earning $75 a month. So that was a bold decision. But the other one was to get to the point and convince him that I was going to make something out of this. This was a business. I treated it like a business. This was not a hobby. You know, it's like Ray said, and it's really stuck with me, is, you know, if you want to, you know, you work, I'm going to reload it. You work a part-time income, you work your business part-time, don't expect a full-time income. I wanted the full-time income. You know, I worked it hard. I worked the 12-hour days. I made sure that I got out of my uncomfortable, I got into that uncomfortable zone, and I spoke to people. I knew that if I was put under pressure and I had to meet a deadline, or I had to make a goal, or I had to win a contest, I pulled out all the stops, whether it made me feel uncomfortable or not. And that's what you really have to do, is you've got to do it if you, I mean, in the very beginning, you really do. It's all about laying that foundation down. And now, after a year and a half of being a Numis, I mean, I look back at it now, and I mean, I wouldn't go back and redo it again. I mean, I wouldn't. What we've done here, our feet are planted here. We aren't going anywhere. We're excited about this company, the vision it has. All of you here, you guys are all like family to us. I'm excited about it, and you know, it's about you guys, you know, going through this that we're all going through right now. And I promise you, you stick with it. You go through those obstacles. You go through the downs. You go through the ups. After a year and a half, you guys are going to be standing there going, "Wow, this was so worth it." And that's where we are now. So you wait for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So,
Thank you.
my story is a little bit about me.
Great job.
I actually grew up in Florida in a small city called Plant City. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar.